listening to Preacher in the Hat Podcast. Lock us in and rip the knob off.
Welcome into another episode of Preacher in the Hat. My name's Eric. Across from me, I got my brother Derek. Behind the scenes, but still on a hot mic, is our man Chris Sumter. My dad is not with us today, and that's because, Chris, we did it again. We got a guest in studio. So give it up for Mr. Justin Castle. One of the most unique laughs of all time. So hopefully we get a couple of those. If he's not too nervous,
I know,
we can maybe get it. We can maybe draw it out. So we are, as promised, we are delivering on what we said from last episode, our stories of transformation. We've got a guest in the studio, which we will not introduce him again because you have already blown out a speaker in your car. But Derek, tell us give everybody a reminder of what's been up and what we're about to be up to.
If you didn't catch last episode or, what have you, we are working through some stories of transformation in our lives, specifically as it relates to, work that God has done in us, not necessarily just salvation, but last week we talked about a couple of turning points in our own lives, and then a couple in some lives of others. So what we really want to do now is touch on some of those stories outside of just the podcast room. Yes, Chris?
Before we get all serious, can we have a moment of silence for the 8-6 Zoom?
We
yeah.
Go ahead.
No. This is a better time to do this. Do you have the bagpipe music ready? Yeah.
Plug it in.
All right, but let's go bagpipe music. And our
I don't want to. I hesitate to say
careful.
trusty.
Be very careful.
Our sound console, if we can even call it that, has now moved on to better things. What we use to record the sound has moved on to different things. We got a brand new piece of machinery back there that is looking pretty stout.
Kind of official.
That's looking pretty nice. I don't think we got a camera shot for it, but that's very important to Chris, so we do apologize for looking over that. I'm sorry, buddy.
I know these camera mics are jumping all over the place.
Oh, man, they're off. That means we're recording horribly.
No, it sounds great.
You sure?
I sound good. You sound good. We look good. Let's get it.
But what if it comes back all echoey?
I think it's great.
You want to pause this and try?
Let's roll.
What if it's terrible?
I think it's great.
But if those cameras are picking up,
great.
if the cameras are picking up sound,
No, it's not like that.
He guarantees. Anyways, you got anything else you want to tribute?
That's it.
All right.
More bagpipe music.
Yeah.
Okay, go.
All right. So now we're going to talk about how Jesus changes us. And so we're going outside of our podcast group, not, just me and Eric and our dad and Chris. We are going to the far reaches of Birmingham, if you will. No, we'll have some from all over.
This is not your first time in the room. So for those of
right.
you who were able to be a part of our Christmas live stream, that we went live on Facebook, and you can still find it on YouTube. You go out there to check it out if you want to watch anything Christmas related in March or early April, which I highly doubt, but you can. Justin was kind enough to run the switchboard for us that night.
Right.
So all those snappy, quick video cuts that everyone
when you were like, oh man, who's running this?
This is these are crystal. This is so clean.
That was Justin Castle.
Yeah.
My man.
And also, if you loved that was him. And also, if it gave you a seizure, that was Justin. Yeah. We take absolutely no responsibility.
We give him all of the credit and all of the blame.
Okay, so you can probably answer this question better than I can because I'm awful at this stuff. So I hope you can. So how long for those who don't know, we know Justin from our church. That's the long story short. We go to church together. How long have we been going to the same church?
2 years.
2 years, like kind of like on the dot almost.
Pretty much. I've been here in Birmingham for 2 years and a month tomorrow.
Okay.
So,
All right. Yeah.
2 years and a month. Okay.
and I think I lived here for about a month or two before I started going to church there. So
Okay. So bingo. Right on.
yeah.
2 months. And how long after that did you join up with us on the worship team?
think I went to church there for at least 4 or 5 months before I started playing with y'all.
Was
I
it
don't
really
know
that
that for
long?
a fact.
It was a while.
Yeah.
You know what? So I'll talk a little bit about. I'm gonna go story of transformation first because
This is a good one. I know where you're going.
so our church is connected with a ministry called Brother Brian Mission, and we have had guys come through many years. You know,
How long now? A decade?
maybe, don't know. And I think you get a lot of guys who come in and be like, "Hey man, I play music. I want to come jam with you guys." And you're like, "Okay, yeah, sure." And then you never see him again. Like it just got, it's like, "Hey, that guy who said he played guitar," like, and someone will be like, "Oh yeah, no, he got kicked out." And you're like, or worse yet, you would actually have somebody like kind of start the team and be like, and then they'd come early for a practice and they'd observe and do all the stuff or whatever. And then 2 weeks later, you'd be like, "Hey, where's so and so been?" And they're like, "They got kicked out." You're like, okay. Right. So then we also had someone who joined the team who ran off stage 10 seconds before service started in a fit of rage.
Yes.
Yeah. So we had people ghost, like who were scheduled and then just didn't show up. And so as you can tell, I'm pointing to my own kind of trauma here with this or whatever. And so Justin, I don't remember how you said it, but you just kind of like let us know, like, "Hey man, I played on my worship team at my home church and all this stuff, whatever." And I'm like, "Sure you did."
And and
That's exactly how you said it. That's exactly.
and he's here from the mission.
Yeah, yeah,
So,
and you're like, great. And so I was like, "Well, I don't know when, but we were like, what we really need is, or no, what I did tell him, I was like, "Hey, we have people come and observe, before you get involved." And then also we got him involved on the AV team. Cause you're kind of like, I'm like, all right, if this guy's really serious about it, like let's test out his commitment. Cause I knew like his desire was to help us up in music. And so, but Justin was, if you couldn't tell, the energy. I mean, he's acting a little soft spoken, like pull that mic a little bit closer to you, make sure we're hearing you. But tonight, but he's generally like a very outgoing person. Like he was psyched to do anything and everything we asked him. We could have been like, "Hey, could you hold up the chair while the guy who's running the sound engineer runs the desk? If there's a broken leg," he would have been like, "Yeah, dude. Yeah.
Exactly.
Put me on the schedule."
Justin, tell everybody how you got to church before you had access to your car.
Yeah, I would just ride my bike to church.
One of my first interactions with Justin, I'm sorry to interrupt yours because I wanted
adds to the aura.
Yeah, I want to keep going. I got my kids in the car, got both my kids in the car. Michaela in the seat next to me. We're driving our van, leaving church, and pull out of the parking lot, start going down the road, and there's this guy walking down the sidewalk, and it's like 1,000,000,000 degrees outside. Like 1,000,000,000 degrees. And he missed the bus back to the mission because he always missed the bus back to the mission because he was talking to people
he wanted to hang
and
out.
actually socializing. And so I pull over on the side of the road. I was like, "What are you doing?" He's like, "I'm walking back to the mission." Press my van trunk button. I was like, "Get in." So that was drove him back to the mission.
Yeah.
Because he was willing to walk home in like 96-degree weather at lunchtime.
And then also, when you after that, when you started biking, it started to rain one day. And mind you, I have a truck. So I was like, hey, man, he's like out the back of the building. I'm driving around. I see him. I'm like, hey, dude, throw the bike in the back, and he's like, no, I'm good. I was like, and meanwhile, like, I just started my windshield wipers.
Yeah.
I'm like, are you sure you're good? He's like, yeah, I'm good. I was like, I feel really bad. Like, I'm like, get halfway down the line because I come early for church. So me and my wife drive separate, and she calls me up. She's like, is he biking home in the rain? I was like, I tried.
Yeah.
She's like, I think she said, like, did you offer him a ride home? I was like, yes, I did.
I think that was one of the points I was still like hesitant to let people be kind to me. My gut instinct was just like,
Yeah.
no, just take yourself home.
Yeah. Gotcha.
Don't make them go out of their way.
Gotcha. But anyways, all right. Yeah. So Justin does stuff like that for months. He said 4 or 5 months. I feel like it was maybe more like 6 months, almost half a year. And he got very involved in like our AV team, and did a bunch. You ran the lyrics. You did the sound some, I think.
Yeah,
I don't remember.
Just whatever y'all had me do.
And then we got him involved on. We had, I think, somebody leave the team. Maybe that was in our keys rotation, and Justin jumped right in. But the point of that is, I talked about all of the bad experiences.
We had preconceived notions.
Yeah, we had preconceived notions about that sort of thing, and you broke those preconceived notions that we had. You broke the expectations almost that I had, because there have been a couple guys come after that I've just almost been like, yeah, man, come on and join us, because I trust now that, number one, not everybody's going to be like the people that quote unquote hurt, or not hurt me, but you know what I'm saying? Like who you let you down or whatever. And number two, all of those guys coming through have like such good leadership there now between you and some of the other guys who are there, that it's different. And so like before, like even as God was working in you, he was already using you to change, to affect change. I don't even know how to say it. Like, that feels like a solid enough way to say that. Like, it's just different for me now than it was. And your attitude and like how positive you are about stuff, I'm like, it redeemed some of that for me, and I know for Eric, when we've had so many guys just like dude, what are you doing? And
since that, like, since that moment is when we've had it's changed everything from then on. It wasn't just like, oh, it's this one guy that, that's got it all together.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Or not got it all together, but like, that actually, you don't have it all together. Sorry. Yeah. Like, from our perspective, comparatively, we may have felt that way, but but it's led to, like you said, you're helping lead those guys there now, whether you think you are or not, you are. And there's a level of accountability that's like built up majorly, compared to what we've seen in the past. And it all comes out. We have multiple guys now serving every Sunday probably, and it's just like it's turned into this like group of guys who are like some of the most reliable dudes that I've ever met when it comes to serving, legit service. Some of the most reliable dudes that I've ever met. You and Michael and Vince and others, that don't even, that are doing stuff, Celebrate Recovery and other things, not even with us on Sunday mornings. And I mean, that was a transformation, a point of transformation for us as like team leaders. And then honestly, for that group being able to be be like hold themselves accountable in service and all that kind of stuff going forward. It's been awesome, and you had a lot to do with that.
Thanks.
Yeah, man. All right, so we took up time because we can't help but talk, but you know,
Appreciate you coming in.
yeah,
That's kind of how I was hoping it would be. Like, that was great. Okay.
but like I think now we'll like talk a little bit about just even if it doesn't have to be a full in-depth testimony.
Yeah,
you don't
yeah.
have to talk about
Yeah,
be as detailed as you want to be. But look, like, this is about stories of transformation.
Yeah.
So if you have a specific point, or even like you just want to tell about,
Yeah.
what really whatever comes to mind. about-
We'd love to, Justin, the line in the sand that was crossed.
Yeah.
New Justin. Obviously we understand that Jesus was that was that line.
Yeah.
But what?
Okay. My name's Justin Castle.
There it is.
I grew up in
Man, the
Kingsport,
myth.
Tennessee. I had a fantastic family, a fantastic life. When I was young, we moved to Alabama and kind of started a new life in a new location. Always had a good family, always had a real good life, the best parents anybody could ask for. And just at a certain point, just like anybody deals with in life, had been through certain things that kind of affected me and stuck with me. And as I got older and became a teenager, kind of started, I guess, trying to escape things I didn't know how to deal with and didn't know how to cope with, and started trying to escape things and using drugs and just being rebellious, and kind of continued with that behavior throughout my teenage years, and it kept progressing as I got older. And the more I behaved that way, the more I kind of shut down with my relationship that I had with God. I was always close with him, but the more...
So growing up, you guys were in church a lot?
Oh yeah, we're big time church family. When we moved to Alabama, I mean, we were still had a strong relationship with God and we're believers, but kind of just a lot of the stuff that was going on in our lives had kind of slowly stopped going and attending church. And over time, it kind of starts off little by little, but over time just was not in church at all and didn't spend time in our Bibles at all. And still were believers, but just didn't have a connection with God much
You have
anymore.
siblings?
Yeah, I have an older brother.
Okay, so just the two of y'all.
Yeah.
But did you feel like some of the stuff that you're talking about, like your family maybe being drawn away a little bit from from that, and like did it affect him the same way? Did you feel like, or
that's hard to say, because he has always been a super headstrong, strong-willed, focused person, and he was so dead set and focused on the stuff he was doing and trying to accomplish, even at a young age. I don't think a lot of the stuff that I was more sensitive to really had an effect on him much, because he was focused on what he was going to do from the time he was young.
yeah,
Yeah.
okay,
He's always been, my brother has always been someone I've looked up to big time. I don't know anybody like him, really. Ever since I was a kid, he's always given 110% at anything he does. And even when it comes to one thing, I think a lot of people fell at when it comes to being around people and peer pressure and how you act around people and how much you'll bend when it comes to trying to fit in with people.
Yeah.
He's one person, never once, any instance in my life can I remember him bending or acting a certain way around anybody to fit in or anything. If you weren't with him being who he was and acting how he did, he could care less. Like,
yeah,
and I don't
change for nobody, right?
Yeah,
yeah,
and all that in a good way. Like,
Yeah,
he wasn't
yeah.
a rebellious person. He was very straight edge, good person, and I love him. He's a good guy.
Awesome.
Shout outs to George.
Yeah. You went to go see him recently, right? Is that
Yeah.
okay? I was making sure, because I know you were talking about you went to go see someone at I can remember. I was trying to connect the dots. That was just for me. Sorry, a little sidetrack there.
All the way out in California, right?
Yeah, down in California.
Yeah.
Awesome. So talk about then. You don't have to describe
Yeah.
rock bottom.
Yeah, and I don't want
Yeah.
to.
But when it started to come back.
Yeah, so and I'll just say real quick, like I've got to the point, that's something I've learned over the past 2 years. I used to get some kind of enjoyment or feel like it was a good thing to like get detailed and share stuff I've been through and this and that, but I mean, I don't like going back there, and the point of all of it to me is I was in a very, very bad place and completely lost hope in everything. And it's at my worst, I was just locked in my room basically. And to the point where I was scared to even come out, literally scared to come out. Like I would come out to use the bathroom and take a shower, and when I'd come out of my room, the shame I would feel when I'd come out of my room, I would basically just run to the bathroom to take a shower or go to the kitchen and get food and go lock myself in my room. And that's a horrible way to feel.
Yeah.
Going through all that, I reached a point where I remember on more than one occasion I would be locked in my room and just going through radio stations. And I remember there was a couple times where I didn't even know what new age Christian music was. I mean, I grew up in church and had heard hymns and gospel music, but stuff
The
like
modern stuff
Yeah.
was not.
yeah,
Okay.
like regular kind of stuff you hear on K-Love or other radio stations. I didn't even know that kind of music existed. And I remember
You couldn't even spell DeGarmo and Key.
Who? Well, yeah.
but I remember on more than one occasion.
I'm gonna go ahead and guess newer than that.
Yeah, whatever
Yeah.
he's
Okay.
saying.
Go ahead.
But on more than one occasion, just like at my worst, sitting in my room, like on the floor and flipping through radio stations because I love the radio, and turning on a station like that and instantly would hear the music. And before I could even hear what the words were saying, the music would come on, and just the way it would make me feel. And instantly I would feel like some kind of strange relief going on. And what it was the presence of God is what I was feeling. And I would leave it on the station and just be like, what is this? Some kind of like strange pop station I've never heard before or something. And eventually over time, I'd start to listen to the words and figure out like, this is Christian music. But that happened a couple of times, and I started feeling that, I guess what you could say, that pull from God, him pulling me back towards him. I didn't know that's what was going on at the time, but looking back, that's exactly what was happening. God was drawing me to him. And there was one occasion my mom was out of town having surgery, and my dad had took her, I forget where they went. It might have been Birmingham. But she was having a surgery, and I was at the house by myself for like a week, and just super bad off. And there was a point during the week where I just couldn't stop crying and praying to God and asking for him to help me. And basically how it all played out was when they got home, I got down on my knees one last time and prayed to God. I was like, God, just give me the courage to go in that room and give my parents the drugs I have and tell them what I've been doing for these past few years, and just give me the strength to do that, because regardless of if I lose everything and they're upset with me, at least they'll know, and it'll give me a fresh start to get out of this hole pretty much. And I was scared to death and could not do it. I could not do it. And I hit my knees and said one last prayer, and I was like, God, please give me the strength to go in here. Like, my parents do not deserve to have their son in here doing this. And he gave me the strength to do it. I basically crawled in their room after my mom got back from surgery. She couldn't even move. She was in bed. I think she had an ileostomy, and was pretty much stuck in her bed. And that was the first night she got back, and I dragged myself in there and told them what I'd been doing. And their minds were just blown, but it was one of those moments. It was just instant relief, and I could feel the Holy Spirit like in the house for the first time in a long time. The stuff I was doing, all that bad spirits and bad energy I was bringing in that house with me all the time. And it was like just trusting in God and going in there and talking with him. The moment I did that, I felt instant relief in the spirit in the room. And that was the moment it all started. And it wasn't all, from that moment, wasn't all perfect and without fault after that, but it was the beginning of me getting here to where I'm at now.
That is so. I've never heard that. You know, I know you say like you don't like to go back and tell that a ton.
Yeah, I don't mind telling that. The part I don't like is just getting into detail.
Yeah, no, I got that. But so I've never heard that. What struck me is a lot of times it really takes. Like it's almost like for a lot of people, you're going to hear that where it was essentially someone slapping them in the face almost and being like, you got to, stop doing this. To see like, and to know that you were essentially isolating yourself, right? Like you didn't have much contact with your family, right? I mean, you lived in the same house as them, but like, y'all didn't really have like day-to-day conversations, right?
I mean, we would have conversations, but it would be only whatever had to be said or discussed, and it was straight back to my room.
Yeah.
And, they would beg me to come out and visit with them and spend time with them.
Yeah.
And I would do the bare minimum, and they'd just be back to my room, locked in there.
Yeah, but I guess what's so awesome to me is that, like, to see God work through that just kind of gently almost. With the like what you talking about with like the music or whatever.
Yeah, I mean it was all God, man.
Yeah, dude, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the part that struck me too is because if you know Justin like we do, just like a people person's people person. That's the way, at least that's the way we see you. That to see God reach into like you being in like those isolated moments, and he was like, nah. He was like, I'm not watching this anymore. Basically, it's like, and he just went in to pull you out. That's the coolest thing to me. Is like that. Yeah, it's like you weren't meant for that, and none of us are meant for that. But you really weren't. Yeah. And he pulled you out.
What's crazy is like, and how far removed are you from that day when you talked to your parents?
Like how long ago was that?
Yeah.
That's going to be a little over close to 4 years ago.
4 years. So like, and how many years were you like? Basically, like you said,
stuck in the pattern
in your room, like kind of like in your room, like,
close to 3 or 4 years.
So there would be a lot of. I feel like with a lot of people, you would still see some of the effect of that, like how like isolating yourself and not spending whatever. Like, dude, there is like zero that we see like from the outside, and then maybe you still like fight some of that stuff on the inside. Zero residue from that on the outside. Like like Eric was saying, Justin is a super outgoing person, and like just like you like hanging out and spending time with people, and like also God, like the redemption from that was like 0 to like 100%. Like you were like all the way there. Like, do you feel the same kind of thing? Like, have you always been like the way you are now with people, and like liking to spend time with people and just having that infectious personality? Was that kind of like you before it all went?
That's the only part that I'm still dealing with when you say like residual is the person I am now is like just a smidge of what I was when it comes to, which I mean might be a good thing when it comes to being outgoing and how dialed up I was all the time. I mean, before drugs or anything, what I am now, I'm still trying to get that back because I guess what I put myself through mentally and spiritually, I struggle every day to get through it and recover it. And there's stuff. Like I'm a very sensitive, feely kind of person, and there's a lot of times I don't know how to process, or I guess like regular people do, how to feel or handle stuff. And just my nature. A lot of times when I don't understand why stuff is a certain way, the only way I know to fix it is just remove myself from it. And that's been one of the biggest things this past 2 years is like having moments where I try to discuss with people how I'm feeling and feel my way through what I need to do, because a lot of times I don't really, all it is just the stuff I put myself through. And I'm basically, from what I understand, what I get from God is I'm a baby at this point, and I'm just got to take it slow. And that's what I'm trying to get better at, is being okay with not understanding and being able to take it slow. And I'm not going to do stuff perfect, and I'm not going to understand stuff, and I've just got to be okay with that and let him walk me through it. So,
man, that's awesome. Number one, that you think that you're not all the way back, because, dude, you seem back to me.
thank you.
But also that last part, preach.
Yes, I know. Yeah, that'll preach.
Yeah.
Chris, you got anything for our man Justin here?
I've been taking a few notes. One thing I kind of sense is that when God's changing you, sometimes he changes you, he makes you new again.
Yeah.
And sometimes people don't want you to be new again. Like I've met people like that where we're like, man, what happened to old so-and-so? And we got used to that person being a certain way. And then God's changing them into something more beautiful, but it may not be, you know what I mean? What if God's changing you into something that's not I got to always be the life of the party, or I got to always be what if it's something different? Are people okay with that? Do they want what's best for you instead of what's best for them? You know what I'm saying? So like when you were talking about, I'm like a baby. I get what you're saying. You know what I mean? Like it wasn't like you were here and then this thing came into your life and then God took it away. Maybe he's taking a lot of that stuff with it. Yeah. You understand what I'm saying? So I don't know what my point is other than be encouraged that wherever he's taking you is where he wants you to be. Yeah. Whether that's what other people were used to before or not. And it's okay.
Wow.
Dang, that was deep.
I mean, man,
I almost wet myself there.
I was thinking Chris was going to ask him something about food or something. And dude, you went all the way. That was good stuff.
I also like what you said about I've been in situations before where people hit rock bottom. We've all been on the bottom.
Yeah.
We're bottom, my bottom.
There's a lot of rock bottoms.
There's a lot of rock
there.
bottoms. They look a lot of different ways, and they're no one's we're all it took the blood of Christ to save us all. But I've been in situations where people were like giving their testimony or their transformation, and man, you thought you were watching them like, bro, I don't need all that. You know what I mean? Because the focus is not where you were, but where you are, and what he's done. And so I don't know, a friend of mine, he's an old pastor, man. He lived a hellish life, and man, sometimes Robert would be sharing his testimony. I'm like, oh, easy. There's women and children in the place. Come on, whoa, brother, whoa. There I was, and
And you're like, oh no.
We don't want to see what your eyes were seeing. We don't.
You're painting a picture, and I'm seeing it in full color.
Unpaint it, please.
Unpaint that picture. Oh man, I want to say this, and you tell it like so simply. The story that you told, because it really it just showed the work that Jesus was doing slowly in your life, and continues to do to this day. So, and I think that was sort of what Chris was getting at with the people who, but continue to tell it that simply. It's like I did this, and I was in a hole that I dug for myself, and Jesus kept reaching down to pull me out slowly. And he didn't just yank you up to the top all of a sudden, but he did that work, and that was a beautiful way to tell it.
Yeah, man.
We really appreciate you being here, man.
Yeah. Thank you guys for having me. Thank you for all the opportunities y'all have given me. I know sometimes, like, especially here recently, it's not just to y'all when I talk about exhaustion or having too much on my plate. I give that to y'all and a lot of other people. And I think that's one thing God is helping me grow with. But I appreciate every opportunity y'all have given me. Y'all are awesome brothers, and y'all are some of the best role models I've ever been around when it comes to being good people, God-fearing people, and responsible and dedicated. And I'm goofy. The people I hang around with are goofy and cut up. But one thing I've learned from y'all and love about y'all is y'all are happy people and y'all have fun, but y'all don't play. Y'all are all about your business. And it makes me think about, just like when you read about in the Bible, Jesus being about his Father's business. When I'm around you two, Derek and Eric, that's one thing that's always in my mind is, okay, Justin, it's time for business. Like, we can cut up whenever everything's done, but while we're here playing, it's time to get to business. So that's one of my favorite parts about y'all.
Appreciate that, man.
Yeah, man.
Love you, brother.
Love y'all.
Love you too, bro. Thank you, sir. For Derek, Chris behind the cameras, our special guest, Justin Castle. My name's Eric. This has been Preacher in the Hat. We'll see you next time.